All right, welcome into another episode of the Clapp Trap. We have the Wednesday episode, and I brought Matt back on to talk a little bit of everything. We've got Celtics topics, we got maybe some Red Sox stuff. Matt and I were even watching the tennis tournament that's been happening, the U.S. Open, so I want to get into that slightly as well. We had a fun weekend doing some gambling with the college football stuff. So first of all, I want to say thank you for some of those good picks this weekend. But secondly, thanks for coming on to the show again, Matt. And are you excited for obviously football coming up this weekend, but also excited to have things like college football back in the works as well?
Yeah, I mean, I love fall. I mean, I think you and I are both fall babies, right? So it's always been that time of year. Nothing like, I mean, hoodies and shorts. That's what I'm wearing right now. Granted, my shorts are Nike sweatpants rolled up to the knee. It's a little casual. It's what happens when you live in the burbs. But no, I love fall. I love football. I love NFL. I don't know the Patriots, but I get the Direct TV subscription, through a student ID I used to have 8 years ago. So we're gonna have a good time, and we'll catch little Patriots along the way.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that you'll involve them a little bit in everything that's going on. But yeah, I mean, October is probably the best month of the year, in my opinion, just because you have all the four major sports doing everything go, and you got baseball playoffs, all that kind of stuff. But as soon as September
Not
rolls
here.
around, you're right there. So I mean, it's a great time to be a sports fan. And so we've got a lot going on. You do have, like you said, the Patriots about to start because as I said, the NFL is about to start. But you also still have the Red Sox going right now, not too great. You have the Celtics and the Bruins about to start up. So I got to just start off today's show asking you a simple question. With everything that's been going on, specifically, with the Red Sox recently and the Patriot season about to start up, where's your confidence level on a scale of, well, rank them from 1 to 4, I guess, your confidence level with the future of the four major Boston sports teams right now, Matt?
All right. So I think no one's going to argue Celtics number one. I mean, I would probably be more apt to put them up there, even when they might not deserve it, just because I am a green teamer. That's big. That's normally the blanket I sleep with, but for the, for the video today, I threw it above my air conditioner. I mean, and they built it. I mean, they built it, right? I mean, Danny Ainge made some great. I mean, they're fun to root for. I mean, anything you don't root for about this team it's a millennial problem, right? And it's because we're old people. I mean, this 15-year-olds have nothing to complain about with this team, right? And there were 2 games away from winning. They added depth to the roster. They're coming into form. I mean, I like them. I like them for as long as they can keep the nucleus intact and that nucleus can continue to mature. Next, if I'm going to be ranking them about, where they are in terms of I think the way I'm framing it is sort of the prospect of winning, right? Where they are in terms of, putting a good product out there, not, and something that you actually believe has a chance to win. Second, I'm going to say Red Sox purely because they can buy it. This regime doesn't exactly show that that's what they're willing to do. I think we've got some topics we'll talk about later on today later on tonight rather, that sort of show that that's not really what they're trying to do. But you do have that option in baseball to go and buy it and buy the championship and assemble the right team. And right now, even though they don't have that regime in place, they're still second in this town because next I'm going to say Bruins. I'm going to say Bruins are the third team. They sort of had they've got some institutional, what I'll call ass baggery when it comes to, I mean, I don't think anyone believes that Don Sweeney should be here over Bruce Cat. I mean, the coach is irrelevant. It's just, you have this draft record. You have this, all you do is get into the first round, granted a couple outliers getting into the Stanley Cup finals, but there's a lot of change that needs to get made that didn't get made because friends of the president and the chief executive, who has obviously looking out for his guy because he's player's guy, play with him, this, that, and the other. So, but that can be overcome because that's sort of just like a one swift move. Someone who actually wants to make it happen and actually just got a couple people, it can happen. I say Patriots last because that is institutional stink. That is something that it's going to be. It's you get what's it? I mean, it's going to take you at least 3 years to get rid of what I'll call the virus that's in there, the actual problem, because that problem's not going anywhere until it hits the annals of history. And Then usually once you eradicate a problem, a little bit of a tech guy, I've done some software building in my day, right? Once you get to try and stop the bleeding, then you get to go back and figure out the cleanup, right? You're not going to get all that stink out of there after that 3-year period. You're going to have to get rid of some family, some friends, some people that maybe have jobs that shouldn't be having jobs. You're going to be paying people to not work for you for once in your life. And then you have a rebuild period, which is, I mean, it could be forever. Look at the Dolphins. So Celtics, Sox, Bruins, Patriots.
All right. Yeah. I kind of figured that you were going to go Patriots in the back end there. You're just not happy with them right now. I get it. If you're watching on the YouTube page, which if you don't know that yet, we do a YouTube page now. Matt's got his great Tom Brady Buccaneers shirt or sweatshirt, I should say, on right now. So you can tell where his mindset is with that team. I mean, I agree with you. It's got to be Celtics #1 to start it off. You have the best superstar in town. You have the best chance. You were just 2 games away, as you said. That's easily #1, but we are going to talk about them some more. I guess for me right now, going #2, I actually feel very confident that the Bruins have a chance that if some puck luck drops their way and they're able to maybe get 1 or 2 more pieces, they could make a Stanley Cup run this year. You have Patrice Bergeron buying back in. You're bringing back Krejci onto the team. You've got some kind of that core group. Yes, they're old. Yes, they've proven that they can be a little bit interesting once the playoffs rolls around. But if you get one more piece, I mean, you brought in Hampus Lindholm last year. Maybe Sweeney could do something. He's going to be, I've been saying this, his head's now on the chopping block. You got rid of the last line of defense in Cassidy, who supposedly was the last problem. Now it's just you, Sweeney. So you got to go out there and make some plays. He's going to have to do something. I feel confident that he's going to try at least to do something. Hopefully it'll be enough there. And then next, I mean, in all honesty, I love the Patriots, but it's hard for me to even put them in #3. I'm going to do it just because I do believe they are going to spend a lot in free agency again next year like they did the year before, so there's a chance for something to happen. I obviously hate where the coaching situation is, but you do have the quarterback that it can at least be somewhat decent going into the future. That's a huge part in the NFL. I'll put them in #3 right now just because, once again, I think that they're going to spend a lot again next free agency, and that could change a lot of things for this rebuilding process. I have no faith in this Red Sox squad in the way that they're going. And like you said, we're going to talk about this probably later in the show. But right now, with their mindset of wanting to be a small ball franchise in a big team market, you have an identity crisis. You're not figuring things out the right way. You're not even signing your homegrown talent, which we can get into the whole Mookie Betts thing from before. But now you have more people coming up and you're refusing once again to do it. And you're backing now, the ownership group is backing the Heim Bloom era once again, and going forward with that, it seems like you have no real sign of direction with them. I'm upset about it. As you can tell, I've been upset about it. It's hard to get into it and give faith to a team that doesn't want to buy into their own players. That's it. That's when you lose me.
They have a window of June and July and really August too. They've got more than 2 months, almost 3 months of a window all to themselves in the sports world, and people would rather go out on a boat and just it's apathy. It's an apathetic situation, and I don't care if it's 162 games. We should at least care about some of them. I used to appointment view. It's the heart of the lineup, 3rd and 4th. Like, I'm gonna make sure I'm sitting in front of the TV.
There you go. That's what it used to be, and when we all cared about it. And I get it. We've won 4 championships in the 2000s, and there's a lot of good things to go back on with that John Henry has brought to this team. But at this point, I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. It just doesn't seem like the Red Sox are at the top of the list right now. He's got the Penguins. He's got a soccer team overseas. He's got a lot of other eggs in the basket. Put somebody else in there who has a little bit of fire under their butt to want to win another championship right now, because the method that you're going with right now is brutal. And I can go on for days about it. We'll do it later on in the show, but we do have another team that we both just agreed is the consensus team of Boston that we all find we have the most confidence in to possibly go to a championship and to win a championship. I mean, to reiterate your point. We were just 2 games away from a finals victory, and you were just missing maybe one more bench piece. Somebody who could score off the bench, would be able to do something for your team when that starting rotation has to take a break. You need that in the NBA. You need a second unit, and especially a guy that can come off and be your scorer. So right now we're in the wake of the Gallinari injury. Obviously, you brought in Brogdon, and now you're also going to have you were going to have Gallinari on the team, and now all of a sudden he's torn an ACL. And we're not going to get into the fact that he's playing summer ball off in nowhere and playing these meaningless games and getting this horrible injury, and that kind of sucks in itself.
It's FIBA.
It's just not what you want to hear as a Celtics squad that just got a player that you thought was going to be great off the bench for this team, right? You thought that he was going to be able to come in, hit some threes. You saw him do it last year. He had, 10 threes in a game against us or something ridiculous. That was either last year or the year before. And so you thought that he was going to be able to come in. Yeah, no, that happened. And be the next guy. Do you feel, though, after losing Gallinari, we talked about this before after they made the moves, we were kind of saying they were finals or bust, right? Do you feel now after the Gallinari injury and him assumedly, he's going to be gone for the season, if you're guessing that they're not going to make any other moves, do you feel like it's still finals or bust, or have you come back off of that at all now after losing Gallinari?
I mean, Danilo Gallinari is not the needle mover, right? Like he's a piece that helps put you as a group and like your core over the top by having that extra outlet, the extra guy that can hit a shot. But I'm not going to sit back and tell you, like, it's not like we just lost a stud. Obviously, no one's claiming that, but I'm not going to sit here and say that because we no longer have Danilo Gallinari that we're not in a better position. I mean, it no logical sense to me. I mean, so if you make no moves, I mean, we didn't lose anything from this team. We, because it's I mean, who I'm trying to think who from even the bench as I'm sitting here. I'm sure it's great radio and great TV and great streaming to listen to me think, but who left the team like out of the rotation?
No, we had everybody
coming off the bench. You still have White. You still have you still got Grant. You still have. I guess so. Allen Robert starting. So like, was Al coming off the bench at the end of it?
I guess I think in this new team,
So I mean, you still got those main guys. So you're not moving backwards, and that core is getting older. So no, I'd have a hard time saying that because you don't have Gallinari that it's not championship or bust. I mean, you still have the exact same team, and that team went all the way to Game 6 of the NBA Finals. So. Yeah, I mean, you did add a guy named Malcolm Brogdon, who's going to actually be able to move the ball, distribute, play a little defense, be a spark off the bench. I don't know if he's going to be first. How they're probably working him into the lineup too. But right. No, I mean, you still have gone in the plus direction roster wise. You're aging, you're maturing. So no, this team should still absolutely be contending for not even contending. You should go back to the finals. There's no reason to move backwards.
All right. Yeah. I mean, hey, it is just kind of an extra added on piece that we would have. But I did feel like last year you were one piece away, really. And you could say that that's Brogdon. And so you bring him in, and now all of a sudden he's filling that role. But it felt like you had really found a good two players to add to this rotation to be able to really make that run and make it convincingly. I mean, the East is getting better by the day, right? You just saw Donovan Mitchell traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and now they seem like they're going to be at least pretty decent. They have a solid squad. So there's other teams that are getting better. You do still need to add something. So I was happy about that. I agree. I still think that if you made no more moves as of right now, this team should still be thinking finals or bust. If you don't make it back to that finals, something got messed up because we basically have that same team plus that one advantage of Malcolm Brogdon. So that's a huge advantage off of what we had last year. But I still think that they should look into making another move. And obviously there's been a lot of talk of possible rumored players that could come to the Celtics in this offseason. So we got to get into the Carmelo Anthony talk. Are you in or out on Melo, and why?
I'm in. I mean, I haven't really been socializing this a lot, that I'm ashamed of the take, but I haven't really talked about it a lot with people. It's just been I don't know, it's been a weird week. Excuse me. But I'm in, because I mean, this is what you build this championship contender for, right? You get these veteran minimum guys, you get these guys that are ring chasing, the dudes that want to join the team. I mean, so if you're going to sit there, you're going to get to this point and you're going to like hand pick, and granted, I will hand pick some of these people that yay or nay, but Melo isn't one of those guys that you're like, oh, can't have him. He's a cancer. He's not. I mean, have you looked at his, like, what did he average last year? He's 37 years old, put up 16 points a game. I mean, that's solid production. I never heard once about him a peep out of him when he was in Portland, when he was in Los Angeles. I mean, so why would you not want Melo? He's not going to come in. I love it. I mean, I think there's more players like him that you're going to see, sort of gravitate towards the team and want to be a part of it. And you need to have a nucleus with the Jays, with Smart, we'll put them in there. And they're going to have to want these guys to come in, and they should, if they're going to be mature professionals and elevate to that next level, bounce off of it. Like, this is a Hall of Fame. It's a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Like, why not? You're too good or you're too above playing and learning how to play off of a game. Like, if you're lucky, you'll be half of him in 15 years, so learn how to play in 10 years, even learn how to play with them. I think it's a great thing. I don't see any downside really to him. You can't cut him because veteran minimum. That's sort of like, because the league pays the salary. I think I heard Forsberg talking about this recently, which I actually had no idea, but it makes sense that if you're signed on the veteran minimum, the league is essentially subsidizing the player's salary. So rather than the team paying, like, the league pays towards it. But if you were to cut that player, then you go on, like, you're on the hook for what the market rate would have been. Right. So you essentially, you have the person. So you do have to make sure that someone who signs for the veteran minimum is going to be someone that can stick it out all year, and you don't have to somehow put on for, on an island somehow and get him off to the side. But I don't think Melo's that guy. I think Melo probably wants to win. But he wasn't on the bubble team with the Lakers, was he?
Not on the championship team. I think he was on Portland.
Yeah, so he's still looking for one. I mean, I'm in.
Yeah. I don't see why anyone wouldn't be agreed on that. I know that a lot of the problems that people have is he can't play defense, and that's been kind of overstated with him, though I think he's a good rebounder, so it's not like he brings nothing other than scoring to the table. He's got that veteran presence, like you said. He's not a locker room cancer. I feel like that's also been floated out there by a lot of people, acting as if he's just like too much of a diva or something, but maybe that was a 10 years ago Melo. This version of Melo is completely different. He clearly has gotten to the point in his career where he's veteran leader type who's accepting of his off-the-bench role-playing style that he has to do. And so with a player like that, like you said, there is no real downside. And this team specifically, this Celtics team, should be able to cover up. The best defensive team last year, and returning all of its players, should be able to cover up for Melo, who, yes, maybe he might be a little bit of a problem on the defensive side, but once again, like I said, he's a big enough body that can rebound, so he's giving you something other than scoring out there, and we should be able to cover up with the Marcus Smarts of the world and bringing in Brogdon, who's also defensive-minded, Jaylen Brown, and all of these other players. You got great centers, and Rob Williams and Al Horford. You put him out there, and he's mixing in with those lineups. He should be able to be. It's not like you're an Isaiah Thomas situation where he's not big enough to even do anything defensively. He's going to be okay. I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with him. Yes, he's not technically a winner yet, unless you want to go to the Olympic stats, which I would never do because I think that's ridiculous. But he can be. He can be a winner, and he can be a winner on this team. So. Well, he's not the only one.
Defense, a lack of defense, like that's not what lost them the finals. It was a lack of, they didn't have a catalyst. They didn't have someone that could just go create their own shot. I mean, he's not the Melo of 10 years ago, but he's someone that can actually score. I mean, at his age, he's still putting up 17 points a game. The man can still drive, get to the hoop, pull up for like a 5-footer. Like I watched him do it, and I'm a night owl, so I watch him play with the Lakers. Watched him blow that overtime game too. Again, they lost like a 17-point lead. That's not on him. So. Like they don't need someone to be a defensive specialist. They need someone to come in and freaking be a spark off the bench, quick 7-8 points, have the team call a timeout, get all flustered, and change the momentum of the game. That's what we need. I think Melo could do it, and I have a hard time. There's probably some NBA reasons, some timing of when you do things or when you make certain deals. I'm sure there's reasons why no one's pulled the trigger on him yet. I mean, camps are opening we're in September, so opening in a couple of weeks. I mean, right. He'll be somewhere soon. He's got to be. He's not gonna go play in China. Put it that way.
Yeah. No, I mean he's perfect. from what we need. Like you said, he can get hot from three. He's got that veteran presence, that mindset where he can take twos too, which sometimes just doesn't seem like it's part of the game anymore. He'll take those mid-range jumpers for you. So I like that. He's fine. I like him. I think he would be great. But there's other players that have been rumored to be coming to the Celtics either by trade or by free agency. And one of them that's just come across my screen where I've been reading about it recently is a new trade rumor, which I don't hate at all, if I'm being honest with you. But I got to ask, are you interested at all in the new rumors for Boston trading for Rudy Gay? And for those of you who don't know, basically what he would be, or the Celtics would be giving, would be a 2029 second round pick, which is top 55 protected, and their $6.1 million trade exception. Yes, getting rid of a trade exception for once, which I believe is the one from Juan Hernan Gomez or whatever, who left as well. So that's where you get that one from. And it's just a rumor as of now, but would you be on board for a move like that?
So I'll tell you, I'm looking up his stats right now. I didn't watch a lot of Jazz. We play for the Jazz. This is a Danny Ainge like salary dump, trying to just like clear the books,
Yep.
right? Yeah. So I've got some of his stats up in front of me, but it's not popping out is his minutes. I don't know what he was down to minutes last year. I know looking 8 points a game last year. It's not huge stats. I mean, he's not the guy who was when he was playing in Memphis, but I mean, why not? I mean, we talked about this before, and I think I've been on these very airwaves talking about this, where you get to the finals, you elevate your team, you become that status. Like, I want the worst player on my bench to be Grant Williams. Like, I don't want the Hausers, the Matt Ryans, the guys who are all just like you're at that level. Like, I mean, even the Lakers teams that didn't do it, they had Malone, they put all these create guys that were trying to pull it together. Like, I don't even care if there's still you're washed up and you're just a name. At least I want to be a star-studded bench every night, even if it's older guys that can't produce. So yeah, I'm tired of the guys who are one night they're in Portland, the next night they're in Boston. They're traveling back and forth.
Right.
Give me a deep roster, deep bench that's got guys who have done it before and can step up and have performed in big moments. I mean, that's what I want, because one of them, it's the law of large numbers, right? One of them is bound to be the guy that you need and to produce, whether it's going to be on the offensive end or on the defensive end. One of them, they all have proven track records. Someone's going to step up and do it. No one stepped up and did it in the finals this year, beyond after game 4. So give me someone that can move the needle for us.
Oh yeah, that's another veteran guy who's going to be able to understand the moment too. And not to say that Melo would, because I mean the guy's only won 3 playoff series in his career, but Rudy Gay has been, as far as anybody else, basically in this league, and he's more of like a Swiss Army knife kind of player to me, as far as I'm concerned. He can do a little bit of everything. He's not going to be able to score as well as Melo. He's not going to be hitting threes like Melo could get hot from. But I think that Rudy Gay has proven that he's able to do a lot of different things that could help out your basketball team. He's a veteran. He would be somebody that you could add on here that would just kind of give you that right mindset too, as well. So I would be happy with Rudy Gay. And I mean, I don't think that you're doing anything. You're not giving up anything that you care about. You're actually using one of these trade exceptions that we would finally be able to get off the list, right? Which that's
keep spending. Go spend. I love it when Wick and the fellas want to go out and spend. Keep doing it. I mean, especially like you said, you're not giving up anything in the process. I found his minutes, by the way. He's put up 19 minutes a game last year. So he's
actually more than I thought.
But he's it's like he's third off the bench. He's coming in 8th, 9th. I mean, this what I'm talking about. Like, Grant Williams might not be that bottom of the bench guy. Rudy Gay might be the bottom of your depth. Like that's a good problem to have. I mean, it's a lot of mouths to keep fed during the season, but people don't really care about the regular season anyways, and no one's really it's fine. Go out and get yours tonight. They just get 81 more of these things. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I like the idea. You're hearing more names, right? You're hearing more people with interest in Boston, which is, I love it. I mean, it's been a little bit since we've seen this. It's been a cool, almost 10 years since you saw, the Sheeds of the world want to come here and play with the Celtics.
Right. No, exactly. And that's what you're kind of getting. And that's what we hoped would happen, to hear these names be like, okay, I'll go play in Boston because I know there's a really good chance I can at least get to the finals, and then I can do something with that. So, like you said, there are other names out there, and I just kind of want to rattle off some other rumored names here, kind of give a yes or a no, and maybe a little explanation behind that. But a name that we've heard for many, many years in Boston, maybe going after this player back when Danny Ainge was obsessed with trying to go and get a guy like DeMarcus Cousins, is also available. Would you be in on DeMarcus Cousins?
No, I mean, he had way too much of an attitude. I mean, that's like, there is a line to be drawn, and like there is you do go in reverse at one point. I loved his game for the longest time too. I mean, he's put up 23 and 10. He could muscle you down the paint, but he could also like pop up to the top of the three and shoot it. I loved his game. It got beyond a point where it's just, the attitude's a serious problem with that man. Right. And I said, what was it in Houston last year? The guy, I mean, you don't need that. And I don't think he's putting up that kind of production. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I'm gonna tell you, I don't think he's got enough left in the tank where you really need it. Plus, like, I mean, you got Rob, you got Al, and so there's probably a little bit of a void on the big man side. At least one more good rebounder that can. But is that him? Is he gonna like clog up the middle and like be aggressive and like, no, he probably wants to give his shots up too. So you need someone that's gonna like be like Al light, which is hard to even imagine because Al is already light as it is. But like, give me someone that's like, all right, I'm gonna put up like 7, 7, and 7, and I don't even need the third 7. Give me 8 and 8, and on any given night, like that's just like that's glue. That's the glue guy.
That would be perfect.
8 fouls too.
I do think that he probably has something in the tank, but I am always worried about that off the court stuff. So that's where you lose me on Cousins. He might be able to give you enough from the on the court status, but when is that dynamite stick going to blow up in the back room or something, and something else happen? I don't think that he's had anything for the last couple of seasons that were major like how he used to, but I think that it's always still a possibility with him. I don't know if that guy can mature necessarily. Here's another name, though, that might be interested for the Red Sox. The Celtics. Who are we talking about right now? Jeremy Lamb, who played for the Indiana Pacers last year, shooting guard. He'd be a backup guard for us. He's a solid player. What do you think about him?
Great player, but I think there's just too much of a logjam. I mean, we've got, for between the guys we've got last year, plus you're adding Brogdon. I think there's just too. I mean, you're already talking about what's going to happen in terms of not even just the ego part of it, but the actual minutes that are on the court. I mean, is Smart still going to be the bona fide, starting guard, and then you're going to switch in, you're going to funnel in Brogdon, you're going to funnel in White. So now you're talking about adding another, not that Lamb's coming in and, going to get this huge minutes share, but I think it's just, it only hurts the logjam that already exists. So, great player. I like him on a lot of teams. Just I don't see the minutes available for him on the squad.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that I don't think he's big enough to play a forward type position. So he's really kind of hamstrung to that, guard style. And when we have too many of them, like you said, and we haven't even gotten into is like a Peyton Pritchard going to get any type of role or anything on this team type of guy either. So, which I doubt.
See you later, bye.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I don't know if another guard is what we need. Probably a forward is going to be better for this team, or a center, I guess. And there's another center in mind that people have been throwing out there as well. What about Dwight Howard? Would you bring him on?
I bring him in for a workout, I guess, see what he's got left in the tank, see if he can come out of the phone booth and jump over. He did the actually, his was kind of nasty. Didn't he dunk on a 12-foot rim? Wasn't that his thing?
He dunked on a 12-foot rim. Yeah, he's done a few things. He's dunked on like 2 at the same time too. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, he's corny and just bit Shaq the entire time. But even still, I mean, he helped the Lakers. He helped them lose once upon a time. He also helped to win. I mean, he was there for the bubble season, right? That was part of that squad. So yeah, I mean, he's got the pedigree. I mean, his game hasn't deteriorated like so far where you don't want to see him on the court. Again, he's someone I would not mind getting in here. Him and LaMarcus Aldridge, I think, and I know LaMarcus Aldridge is playing a way different game now. I mean, I love that man when he's Portland, even the beginning of his San Antonio years. But those are some guys that I think that have real tread. And the beauty of, especially if someone like Aldridge, right? They didn't play crazy minutes the past couple of years, and they're playing with the Nets. Like, they were tucked on the bench, especially in the playoffs. I don't know if he got any minutes in the playoffs. I mean, I was actually surprised looking up his stat line for the past season, and he's getting like another, Rudy Gay type. He's like getting 20, 22 minutes. I'm like, really? Because he didn't see the damn floor when they were playing the Celtics, and got whooped in that 4-game sweep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's someone who I think still gets some tread left on the tires. A player I always liked. So it bring in a couple of guys like that. I guess I've been yes on everybody except for Boogie Cousins and Lamb, but not personally, just because it's a size thing. I'm a size queen.
It sounds like it, but yeah, Aldridge is another good one. But didn't he have the heart problem thing though? What was his deal? Was he had to step away from the game for a little bit? Something to do with that? I think that he had some kind of major issue that seemed like he was never going to be able to play basketball again. Then he came back and he did start playing again, and he seemed to be okay. But maybe it wasn't last year, but maybe it was the year before that. There was something where he had to miss some times, I think, for a heart issue. I should probably just look that up instead of throwing that out there. But I think that was actually one of the major things that LaMarcus Aldridge had to deal with.
Has the strongest heart in the entire NBA. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's not like we're dealing with some kind of Jeff Green situation, I don't think, fully, where he had to have it replaced or anything. But I do believe he had a heart condition. Let's see here. Aldridge played his entire career with Parkinson White disease, a heart condition that causes a rapid or irregular heartbeat. So he had to leave the game for a little bit due to something like that. I don't know if that's still in something that's wrong with him, but I mean that could be a problem as well. So who knows?
Yeah, I won't make light of real conditions, but
yeah,
it's just I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
Best hospitals in the world here. Why wouldn't you want to live here?
All right, that's a great point. Yeah, he could be. You come to the place with the great hospitals, and then you'll be okay, I think. All right, so now we got an interesting topic to talk about. We've been talking all about the Celtics here, and this kind of does have to do with the Celtics a little bit, but the NBA 2K23 ratings have been leaked, or at least some of them, at least the big players have been released. And I had to ask Matt about it. I mean, I've played 2K for a long time. I'm a big video game guy when it comes to the sports game stuff. I know that you've played it in the past and things like that, but I don't know how much it actually is really a good test or a good way to view the actual players in the NBA. We got to kind of look at some of these ratings to see what the 2K23 officials have made some of these players. And I sent you the list. I'm sure you weren't, just looking at refreshing your screen, waiting for the updates or anything like that. So I sent you the list of some of the names that were going on, and it does list Jason Tatum on there as a 93 overall. So if you're thinking 1 out of 100 rating for those of you that don't play the video games and things like that, it seems like you should be able to get this concept. It's 93 out of 100 basically is Jason Tatum, which seems pretty good. Until you look at some of the players that are above him on this list. And I wanted to ask to you, Matt, specifically, our boy Jason Tatum, 93 overall. Does that seem like it's too low, too high, or is that spot on for where you would kind of rate Jason Tatum in this league right now?
I do not give a crap about what these actual rankings are. No, I mean, it's a popularity contest. It's about being one of the cool kids. It's about the computer, video programmer nerds, like being able to somehow like sync up and like have a reason to conversate with these dudes. I mean, it's just, and again, like if I'm like if I'm in a video game, like, yeah, I want the best ranking. Like, what are you nuts? But like, what's LeBron? LeBron's like a 102 or something stupid. It's in the list. He's the second highest rated. Is LeBron James the second best second best basketball player right now?
I mean, he's still up there, man. He's still got to be considered when he's on of being up there in the top 2 or 3 players, probably.
Yeah, but like that's like, so sure, I can agree with you if it's about like winning and putting like pedigree together and like assembling like that type of stuff. But that's not what NBA. It's not what video games are about. It's about being high flying. It's about being dynamic. It's about flashy. It's about being able to score big. All that stuff. That's LeBron isn't at his physical peak right now. So it's impossible for you to say that he's the second best, the second highest rated physical specimen, I guess you can say, the second best shape or most athletic. He's not the second most athletic guy in the entire league right now. So when you
Yeah,
see him up there, it's a respect thing, right? So you put him right underneath Giannis, and I guess you have to because Giannis is a freak at his peak.
absolutely.
He just won, in less than a year, just over a year ago. So I get that, like that makes sense. But to put LeBron right underneath him, that's the respect thing, just because he is who he is. So right when you see that, the list just sort of it's almost equal parts talent as it is like hierarchy, respect type of stuff.
Right.
So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure Tatum is I don't know, what was he last year? Is he moving up now? He's got to
Yeah.
be.
I don't even think he was a 90 last year.
I think he was in. Yeah, it was like a big controversy because he was in 89 last year, right?
Yeah.
He showed them that he absolutely showed them.
He did.
Happy for him.
Do you
But
think
what
though
are
that
your
he should
thoughts?
be? Do you think he should be rated higher than LeBron then, if we're going off of just basically physical stature? Obviously, Tatum a lot younger right now, and LeBron is starting to fall off of his peak of his career. Do you think that Tatum should be then ranked higher if it was going not if you took out the, like you said, the just this guy's got a track record of being a winner and the respect side of things. If you just did it based off of talent alone right now, do you think that Tatum has gotten to that point where he's at least as good as LeBron, or do you think he should still be rated underneath him?
This isn't the place that it matters. It doesn't. Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter what it's ranked. Like, if like,
I just
oh
want
man,
opinions.
like Tatum should have, like, yeah. So his opinion. My opinion is that look how far Tatum went into the playoffs last year. Look how far LeBron went into the playoffs last year.
Fair.
That's the validation that people should need. That's the validation that future champions and current champions should need. It's great to be able to be ranked, but like, I mean, you didn't make the playoffs last year, LeBron. Like, so the Celtics. This is not where it matters. Yeah.
I love this.
I mean, listen, I'm just now getting back into video games after my big run-in with what's it, Fall Guys. I don't know if I pluralize it correctly.
Yep, that's a good one.
But yeah, but I'm pretty. It's like it's like one of those like sick new RPG games for people that don't know about it. Like, you're really just like in the weeds, like going in there and like these guys falling, and you're just getting. I digress. So yeah, I mean. Do I quite care? But ask me about my Fall Guy rating, and then maybe I'll give it to him.
That would be very impressive for people to know that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I think that honestly, LeBron still should be rated higher than Tatum. I like where Tatum is right now. I don't like that guys like Ja Morant are ranked at the same as him, or Kawhi Leonard, who's been continually hurt over these last couple of seasons, is ranked higher than Jason Tatum. I don't think that that's a good way to kind of put things down there. But otherwise, I think that Tatum is right where he should be. He's growing. He's gaining on all these major talents in this league, and I think that it's showing in his rankings. As you said, last year, controversy, only an 89, thought that he should be better. He was better. He is now a 93 to start off the season. We'll see where he can go, only up from here, it seems like. But I did want to ask, was there anything, because there was something that stuck out to me on this list, but I am also a big hater, so it's going to just come from my hater side of things. Was there anything on this list that stuck out to you as something goofy? And remember, we're talking about the NBA 2K23 leaked players ratings right now, and we're going over all the different possibilities. Was there anything that stuck out to you at all?
Consider this the situation where your plant doesn't work. So you tell me what you saw, because I got nothing.
All right, that's all right. I am a hater. I've said this about this specific. I'm a hater of LeBron James, but I'll give him his credit where I think it's deserved, and I think that I can be objective with that guy no matter what. I do, because I have always said, or up until recently, he's been the best player in the league. I give LeBron all his dues. I just think I hate him off the court for his things that he does. I think that he's kind of a loser on those kind of things. But there is a guy who has barely been able to be on the court and is also a huge loser from as far as I've seen and heard about him off the court. And he's ranked on this list with some of the best players in the league. I know he's at the very bottom of this list, but he's an 87 overall in this league. Zion Williamson, this fat mother effer, is going to come out here and actually be rated this high, where he's kind of up there with the Devin Bookers of the world and close to Jimmy Butler and all. He hasn't played the game at all. He hasn't played enough. He's played long enough to be able to break his shoes and get some endorsement deals. I don't know why, and then go and show up playing video games, I think, and all this kind of stuff, and he just keeps gaining weight. Now listen, I'm sure he's going to turn his career around and he'll be a fine player. I've come back from saying that that he was going to be a complete bust to saying that he is going to just be Blake Griffin 2.0, never win a championship, have some flashy fun moments. Oh, wow, look at what he did. He dunked on that guy. Oh, he got in the paint, and he's this little kind of smaller guy who just dunks on everybody. It's kind of crazy. And by smaller, I mean he's only 6'6", but he plays like he's a power forward or a center. And he's beastly. I get that. He's powerful. But this kid has done absolutely nothing yet to gain a rating where he is almost he's an 87. Like we were just saying, last year, Jason Tatum was an 89 overall. I mean, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts towards Zion Williamson at all? Like I said, once again, I'm a big hater on this kid. I haven't liked him since I've heard about his attitude back when he was in college and all that kind of stuff. So I've hated a lot since then. He's been one of my new guys. But I just don't think that he deserves that kind of a rating.
That's meant to be controversial. I mean, this isn't, it's like not a complete list. It's a leaked list. I don't even think it's confirmed that it's what top, from its top, whatever, because there's definitely gaps. And you can tell me there's no one landed from a score of 91 to a score of 98. There's intentional gaps. I mean, putting Zion in there, I feel like is just something to ruffle feathers. It's working. I hear you say. I mean, Blake Griffin was nasty for like that Clippers period with him and CP3.
He was,
listen, I understand what like Zion is literally like set records for like the things that he's done and the amount of minutes that he's done them. He's closer to Greg Oden than Blake Griffin.
Ooh, I love that. Yes. I hope, I don't know. The kid's just got the worst attitude in the world too, from everything that I've heard about how, I'm not going to get into it once again in my hate for Zion. I've done episodes and episodes on that, but yeah, he just doesn't deserve it. They got me riled up here, but I agree. So far in his career, he's shown more signs of being just that guy that's going to end up being a bust and flashes of greatness and then bust, rather than a guy who Blake Griffin. I give him Blake Griffin because I think that he can eventually turn things around and he'll be super flashy for all the dunks and everything like that, but it's never going to pan out to be anything. So I don't know.
You wouldn't talk that smack if you ever met him. You try to be his best friend. Oh, what's up, Zion?
No,
cool,
I would love to get knocked out by one of these guys. It would be great content for everybody, and I'd probably make some money off of it too. I'd tell it to his face. I don't care.
You could, if you took like one of his his calves, you could withstand that. But he's not that big of beefy legs. It's kind of like chicken legs. Like you could definitely withstand that and just sort of Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it's like sternum or like his midriff came at you, like I don't think you're gonna stand a hot chance. But so
hey, we all know
hope he jumps over you and only hits you with his leg when he dunks on you.
We all know I'm a thigh guy, right? So thigh on thigh, I think I might have him. But otherwise, yeah, he might have me at that point. No, I don't know.
Don't sell yourself short. You got better thighs than him.
Thank you. I agree. Well, I'm done. All right, we're done with all the goofy NBA talks and everything like that. We went over the Celtics. We talked about them. We started off talking on this show about the Celtics because we were saying that they have the best odds, or our confidence that they're going to be winning something in the future the quickest out of any of the major four Boston sports teams, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots, and the Red Sox. We have the most confidence in the Celtics to move on and possibly win a championship soon. The team that I had the least amount of confidence in, though, is the Boston Red Sox. This team has pissed me off all year. It pissed me off last year. I think that one of the worst things that could have possibly happened for the Chime Bloom era is them actually going on that little run last year and making the playoffs. They were about to be knocked out, and then they go on this run. Yes, you got Schwarber in. They sparked a little something. You go on this run, and you start to go through the playoffs, and they played some great baseball. But as soon as their pitching fell apart, as we all knew it would, they were gone. As soon as their bats couldn't score 5 to 7 runs per game, they were done. I think that run was horrible for this team because it gave the ownership group a little leg to stand on and be, look, it's all working. They just made it to a playoff run. It's not like we're just completely losing all the time. But then you come back in this year and we have the pokey little puppy team once again that we all know is not going to be able to do anything. And they still don't go out there and really get anything at the trade deadline. Once again, even when there was chances, they spit in our faces again. It was just a horrible, horrible season, and I have no confidence in this team going forward. But the icing on the cake, and the one thing that I wanted to talk about right now, is the fact that they just did make a signing. This Red Sox team did sign somebody, but it's not Xander Bogaerts. It's not Rafi Devers. They went out and they signed Kike Hernandez, to a 1 year extension worth $10 million. And I'm starting to think that this is just getting disrespectful to Devers. Leave Bogarts out of it. I've said this before. If you want to tell me that they went out and they got Trevor Story, who's going to be the person to supplant Bogarts as the next shortstop or infielder that's going to be good for this team, okay, at least you tried and made something right there with that move. But now you're telling me that you're not going to sign Devers. You're going to push him to the absolute limit on getting possibly the best hitter right now in baseball. It signed for a long-term contract, and yet you're going to go sign the guys like Kike Hernandez, and I don't have a problem with him personally. Sure, he had a great run last year in the playoffs. We all like Kike Hernandez for what he can be on this team. But you're going out and you're making other signings like this right in the face of Rafi Devers, who's giving you so much, and you're just going to let him leave? Do you find this as disrespectful as I do to guys like that who haven't gotten a contract that deserve it?
Oh, of course. But I mean, these dudes shouldn't be surprised by it. I mean, they laugh about it when they're at the podium at the All-Star game. I mean, they're not surprised by it. I mean, look at all the signings that Chaim Bloom's done. I love the chime Bloom, by the way. I mean,
it pisses me off.
I mean, it's all about these big, like, middle market minorly overpaid, but only for a single year, maybe 2 years, always in that $10 to $15 million range. And what did he just sign for? A year-long extension that it was somewhere in that 10 to 15. That's his sweet spot. And so, I mean, I get that that's sort of his thing. And then I'm sure that's also an edict from the ownership to say that, because they look at this thing, why haven't you never want any long-term bad debt on your books, right? That's a business thing. So they look at it and they want to keep that portfolio
unless you're the Boston Red Sox and you can handle that kind of a thing.
That's the thing. It's being managed like it's part of a portfolio and not like a dang organization. And that's the thing. Like, and you to go back what you were talking about before, right? Where it's, you hate that they made that run and made it to the ALCS and ended up losing to the Astros, because it sort of what it did was it validated their model. What they want to do is, hey, we don't have to spend crazy, like hyper, like at the top of the market. We can be top 80% or top 20%.
Right.
Around. So you don't have to, but you can do that. And you can be profitable. So if you get into the playoffs, 1-4 is probably not the target number. Maybe it's every other year, if they can put it, but how can you yeah, sure. So on the books, that looks great. Like if we're in the playoffs every other year, we're going to be a profitable team. So let's not spend over the top. But how the hell do you put a team together that is only consistently like every other, like it's not logical. Like teams build, teams fall down. So when you want, if this is your target in order to, make scratch and, be profitable, it's not, I mean, I can't stand it. I mean, this team, I've gone to one game this season and 5 people split one ticket. We got 4 tickets free. And the only reason I went is because all 5 of us split a single ticket as the difference. I mean, it's just, why? I mean, you're not going to pay to put something great in front of us. Why am I going to pay to give you my valuable time?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is the product in front of you is terrible in baseball as is. They need to make changes as is to the game itself just to make it more of a watchable sport. Whether you're at the game or at home on your couch, they have to make some major changes. We've talked about that before. You need to get the pitch clock in there. You need to speed these games up and things like that. But then on top of it, as Boston sports fans who the Red Sox were king for the longest time in this town. And one of the reasons was they were still trying to win a championship. And yes, you go out there, you do a lot of great things. I said this before, even in this episode. Henry, you brought in 4 championships for this team, some of the best memories that this team has ever had. They are winners now. But if you're not willing to continue trying to fight for it every single year like we haven't still won one, then I don't think that you should be the major decision maker. I don't care if you're still the owner, whatever, keep it in your portfolio. Somebody else has to come in here with a fire and have that decision making process to put us in the right direction. And I'm not saying making the farm system better is a bad idea, but the way you're going about it right now is just incomplete, or it's just completely wrong. It's just the worst way to try and rebuild this team, and you're frustrating so much of your fan base. And you're about to go into your third season out of the last four without making the playoffs. And yes, I know one of those years was a COVID year, whatever. I don't really care about that nonsense. You're about to miss for the third time in 4 years the playoffs, and it doesn't look good, and it looks like you're forcing out your homegrown talent, and you're not going to sign them, and there's no sight, or nothing in sight that's going to make you feel good about this team. I'm starting to think that the only thing that's going to get to John Henry is his pockets. And I don't know if we can actually affect his pockets. I know they're very deep. This guy's got a lot of money. But if we can start, or if the fan base can start boycotting these games, I know that this has been a topic of conversation over the last couple of seasons. What if the fans just stop going to the games and their attendance has gone down? I don't know if you remember this a couple of seasons ago. They were still doing that bogus BS sellout record thing for the Red Sox for the longest time, when it was like they weren't actually selling out these games. You can see it in the stadium. They are not completely sold out, but the tickets are technically bought because it's bought from like a third party Ace Ticket or whatever the heck it is. So it's technically a sellout. Once again, they had to finally stop doing that because it was so blatant that people are just not going to these games anymore. Do you feel like I do? Like this, they should just start boycotting these games because the only thing that's going to affect this guy is his pocket?
I mean, I don't know if boycott them in person, sure. I don't know how much of their revenue, comes from the gate. I mean, I'm sure they do real well at Fenway because think about the price to get in there, right? It's a family of four to park to go there. It's like 400 or 500, probably more than that. I mean, that's
food, drinks,
it's absurd.
Seats, all that.
Yeah. So that's your take. It's cheaper to fly down to Camden Yards and go to Baltimore and go to a game there. So I'm sure they obviously they have a smaller park than most, but most teams aren't putting 36,000 fans plus into their stadium on a nightly basis anyways. So, boo-hoo, cry me a river there. I imagine the majority of their money is coming in from TV deals. You own the network. So it's not like, you essentially streamline and go straight to the advertisers. You put the advertisers' money in your pocket. What you're doing is goon businessmen. And listen, these guys have probably wiped their butts with more money than I'll ever see in my life. But so how is they would rather look at Nesson Plus, right? $30 a month. But there's way less people that have it because you're not getting it with YouTube TV. You're not getting it with any of the streaming or the cord cutters. You're only getting it with these hardwired cable people. It's just like Fenway Park. You don't have to have a huge crowd. You just have to gouge the crap out of the crowd that you do have. Yeah, and it's not. I mean, I don't think it's sustainable. I mean, I'm not listen, I stopped, I started I'm embarrassed to keep texting my mom because I have to authenticate for how do I get onto her Nesson account, because I'm not gonna go spend $30. There's nothing that I spend $30. I don't even spend $30 a month on my cell phone anymore. You're gonna tell me that I don't need the Red Sox that bad. I'm not a huge Bruins guy. Bruins would sort of tip the scale for me. If it were the Celtics, I'd be like, yeah, hold on, I'm in. I gotta I can live with Bruins is my fourth. Hockey's my fourth sport, so. The baseball just doesn't move the needle enough for me to want to have to do it. And if I really want to watch a game, if I'm really that desperate, I just, Mumsy, what's the 4-digit code that just went to your phone? And then I punch it in, and then, I'll do it again in 6 days.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's another big factor of it is the Nesson problems and the way that they're fighting hard against people. They're even fighting with the cable companies to be able to allow them to put Nesson on there anymore. They want more and more money for Nesson. And I think that's making it, they're hurting one of their major parts of their fan base, like you said. But if you can gouge enough people, enough of that smaller group, if you get 20% or whatever it is, that can make your deadline. And then even though, Red Sox are the third team on your portfolio, they're making enough. So it's okay and it's worth it. I just still think at the end of the day, we should be trying to there's got to be a way to make John Henry understand that, no, you don't have to give up your ownership stake. But you do have to give it to somebody who has some want to go out there and buy the team that should be out there for this Red Sox squad. You are the Boston Red Sox. You have one of the highest payrolls in baseball still. and yet you're still not using it in the right ways to make this team better. You're trying to get little $10 million guy here, get Kyle Schwarber on a nice deal here, even though he can't play first base. We'll just throw him at first base. You're trying to do the Moneyball style with a big league roster payroll that should be going against the Yankees and the Mets and those the Dodgers. You should be up there with those teams, and yet you're not. And you're still talking about the luxury tax somehow, and you don't want to go over that. It just seems all out of whack. It doesn't seem like there's any end in sight for them to be, turning this thing around. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to imagine that the revenue and the viewership's definitely it's got to be plateauing at best right now. And there's going to be that big wave, that big turn where it's just going to be like they're going to make one wrong move, get greedy at one wrong turn, and people are just it's gonna drastically fall off. And you know what that wrong turn is? You're putting a bad product out on the damn field for 162 games a year when people don't want to watch the team anymore. And then we're gonna rebuild it. We're gonna sign $17 million players. Like it's not gonna work. You gotta build consistency. You gotta build homegrown favorites. You're the Boston Red Sox. You should have Dave Dombrowski and Chaim Bloom working at the same time for your team all the time. You know what I mean? Like have a nerd, have someone who wants to go spend like that's, honey, like hold my purse. Like I'm going to go nuts and like you gotta deal with it later. That's like, why not? You're the Boston Red Sox. You're one of the most valuable franchises in all of sports and all of baseball. Like why do we have to choose? Why is it wartime versus peacetime? Why don't you just also have good scouts and someone who's, Big Hoss wants to go out in there and spend and trade people. And not to mention, if they make the trade, know how to evaluate the talent to make the trade. The guy who's running your farm system got friggin' a bale of hay for Mookie Betts, best player in the damn league, top 5, top 3.
Yep.
What do we have for it?
It's Verdugo, who's like nothing. We got nothing.
The best thing about the Red Sox is how infuriating they can be. That's like the one thing that my favorite thing about them is how much I just think they're a joke.
So a lot of content, a lot of talking, a lot of complaining out of me.
It's never about the game because no one can watch the damn games.
That's the problem. That's the problem. So it's just frustrating. It makes you want to just do other things with your time, watch other sports, and that's kind of how I've been at this point. Not just because of how baseball was, but you said it earlier in the show. You have a couple of months out of the year where you should be the only sport on our mind, the only team on the Boston sports fans' mind. You should be leading the way, and you're doing everything you can to frustrate the crap out of the entire fan base. That's what you're doing. Even the diehard fans at this point are just frustrated with the way that the team is going because you can't do the simple things. So it makes you want to watch other things. It makes you want to do other things. And as I mentioned earlier in the episode, Matt and I this weekend, we were even betting on tennis because I'd rather do that, and I'd rather go watch college football, which I know nothing about, and we have no good college football teams around here. BC, whatever, I guess they've done, really nothing, but other than the Matt Ryan years.
They were number 2 that one year.
That was really cool, but it makes you want to do other things like that. And I'm not trying to downplay how cool things like the U.S. Open can be. I do want to talk about that a little bit with you, Matt, but it makes you want to do other things, which I guess can be a good thing, right? Because it gives you fans to different sports. So like I said, we got to watch the U.S. Open this weekend. It's still been going on this week as well. And you had some crazy things that have happened so far. But I wanted to talk to our tennis guy and Matt about it and just really quickly go over what had happened. Did you think that there was any, or what would you say was the biggest storyline? I think you already know what it's going to be, but what would you say is the biggest storyline of the U.S. Open so far? And do you have a favorite moment of anything that's happened?
So biggest storyline, shocker, last night was when Tiafoe took out Rafa. I mean, that was, I wasn't surprised. I mean, Rafa lost to, Borna Koric. Listen, I'll name drop all day when it comes to tennis.
Go for it.
This is
you got a little bit of time
here. Butter, but Rafa's getting to that point, where it's if he ever gets more majors, each one's going to be that much more bad. I mean, if he ever gets, he's the guy just won friggin' Australia. The guy, he's clearly capable of adding more on. But you watched Tiger towards the end, before car crash. It becomes more difficult to compound numbers 22, 23. It's just that's just how it goes. Otherwise, everyone would have a million. But so that was sort of I guess
Shocker.
Tiafo is just Tiafo hasn't really, he doesn't win tournaments. He's always been, he's a fan favorite. He's a great guy. He's just a very, very affable dude. And he's just been, when he's playing well, like he's capable of doing stuff like that. His serve's on point. He's physically strong. So I mean, I saw that one did not surprise me.
And he's an American, right?
Yeah, he's from the DMV. He's from the Virginia.
I think I saw that it was only some stat where it's like he's the third American to ever beat Nadal or something like that in a tournament.
No, not surprised. I mean, that's especially. Even at the U.S. Open, right? I mean, that the guys just had such dominance at Clay, obviously, especially. But I mean that. So that was the the big shocking moment. My favorite moment, man. I'm a Nick Kyrgios guy. Like I like his attitude. He brings something different. He's got one of the probably the purest, not even the purest, he's the best game of probably all tennis players. The narrative on him, going back a year and a half, 2 years, was just that the dude doesn't he doesn't try, he doesn't practice, he doesn't, if he cared about the game like others cared about the game, he'd be the best in the world. But
just natural.
He's showing up, and he's so nasty, and he's just like he's super down to earth. He's last night or 2 nights ago, I think he's playing right now. Actually, I think he just lost the first set. Don't worry about it. Throw your money at it right now. Actually, he's a huge NBA guy, huge Celtics fan, rocking this nasty white and faded gray like Celtics hat logo the other night.
All right.
And it's just, he's cool. I like him, and the fact that he beat Medvedev the way that he beat him, that first set tiebreak was unbelievable, and it was 13-11 at the end of it, and then Medvedev got one, and then Kyrgios is just, what are you gonna do when a guy serves 130 miles an hour on their second serve? There's no chance. So he's a sneaky favorite of mine. Some people don't like his attitude, some people are poo, and think he's not that great, but I could go on about that guy. He makes me laugh.
Well, I'm surprised though. I thought that you were going to mention maybe the Serena Williams stuff at some point. How did you feel about that whole situation?
I'm gonna keep it nice and tight. She's great for the game, and sad to see her go.
All right. Well, hey, that's another.
Was it overdrawn? Was I wondering what each extra leg of the Oprah the Oprah narration it honestly very skillfully done, because how do you touch upon every night before the match when you it's not like a hey bye we'll see you later because you're gonna lose, but it was very open-ended and motivating, where it was I don't know if I just watched someone's retirement or someone getting pumped up for the next match. What was it? Tomjanovic beat her, Nick Kyrgios' ex-girlfriend. It's all coming full circle.
Typical. But is she done now? She's not coming back, you think?
In that super not annoying way whatsoever, when they asked her at the end, she's like, oh, you never know. And all right, great. All right. All the people that spent thousands and thousands of dollars to freaking go to a third round match, which should cost you $80. Now they spent, $5,000. And then, it's like Tom Brady throws his last football, but wait, I'm back. Just kidding.
Yeah, I was going to say that dude spent
that money back in
$25K.
crypto, dude. Yeah. No, I don't know what the money. It was far
100
more than 25K.
Yeah, okay, it's something ridiculous. I know that it was something ridiculous, but then I know that it wasn't his last one there. So yeah, I can see how paying thousands of dollars just to go to a match that ended up being not her final match would piss some people off.
$518,000.
Yikes.
Yeah.
For his not last, but he got refunded or something, so nobody even cares about him anymore.
He probably got it in crypto, and then it turned into a quarter of what it was worth.
Oh, geez. Well, hey, the crypto, sometimes you got to do that when you're getting your returns, even when you're betting too and doing things like that. We got, you're speaking of the NFL, you're speaking of Tom Brady and everything. We've got our gambling competition coming up. We're starting it off again this week. We'll have some picks on Friday for anyone who was watching or listening to the show last summer, or last year, I should say. We did a lot of fun stuff with the gambling side of things. So I'll finish off the show by just saying, are you excited for the gambling competition? Are you ready? Do you have some picks ready to go? Are you already looking into it? Do new strategy or anything like that? Or are you just going with the flow of last year?
I'll say, my strategy this year will be don't take any weeks off. Don't look at this thing like an obligation that you forget it for a week. For the public, the listening public, the betting public, if you want a strategy, probably fade me. You know, I have a full-time job because I am not a professional gambler. So if you just do the opposite of me, then you would by logic be a professional gambler.
All right.
So just
Well,
do the opposite of me.
let's hope that you don't have a hot year then. Because then you're gonna have to tell these people.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
That would be terrible
What would I
if you
do?
did that and had a hot year and like won the competition. So yeah, I think stick with that. Let's make sure that you have bad picks. I'll give out some great picks so you don't have to fade me. Make sure to follow along.
All you do is give out over-unders the entire year.
I do like over-unders. Those are a lot of my good stuff that I do. It's better than player props though. I'll say that. We'll just say
I
that.
don't know. Player props won the league, didn't they? Or won the competition?
That won the competition last time. But we'll have you back on probably next week to talk all about those picks and other things. The Patriots, the NFL is starting up. We got a lot of talk to go on that. I have a funny feeling at some point our conversations won't be as nice to each other once the Patriot seasons has started. We'll see, though. Maybe we can keep it, on the up and up around here. I don't know. I won't hate you too much, maybe.
As long as you know what to expect. I think you just have to go in through, be realistic.
Oh, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle on all fronts for the Patriots, so I already know that. But that's going to do it for another episode of the Clapp Trap. Thanks again, Matt, for coming on.
Anytime, bud.